If you're watching this video, it shows you have a very special need. The need to understand people in order to communicate better, persuade more effectively, and create a real impact in life. Not everyone is perceptive enough to question how people work. Not everyone is mature enough to realize that to change the world around them, they must first understand the people in their lives. And not everyone is fortunate enough to find content that opens the door to the art of understanding psychology, as you are doing right now. In a world where everyone wants to talk, very few want to listen. In a society where speed reigns supreme and emotions are relegated to the background, the ability to understand human nature becomes a key advantage that sets you apart from the crowd. Communication is more than just words. Communication is perception. It's feeling. It's seeing what others don't say. It's reading the meaning behind words, the emotions behind faces, and the needs hidden beneath behavior. When you understand people on a deeper level, every conversation becomes smoother. Connections become more genuine. Persuasion becomes more natural and impactful. This video will lead you into a completely different perspective on the art of interpersonal relations. A deeper and more realistic view than what you've previously learned from the book Asterisk. How to Win Friends and Influence People Asterisk. It's not just about simple communication principles, but about understanding the human soul. It's not just about how to make others like you, but about seeing through their true needs to create a positive and lasting impact. If you want to be someone who can inspire others to open up, if you want your words to carry weight, if you want to blend into a crowd while maintaining your own unique charm, then you're in the right place at the right time. Before embarking on this journey, press like to connect with the energy of practical knowledge. Press subscribe so you don't miss out on ideas that can change the way you communicate and transform your life. And now, let's begin our journey into the world of the art of understanding people. 1. Humans are inherently difficult to self-reflect on. This is one of the biggest truths of psychology, and also the reason why most arguments and criticisms fail. You might think that when people are wrong, they will realize their mistake. You might believe that when someone hurts you, they will reflect and understand the consequences. But the truth is quite the opposite. People rarely see their own mistakes, or they see them but don't want to admit it, or they have built up a solid system of justification in their minds to the point that they themselves believe they are right. If you've ever encountered major crime stories, you'll notice a common thread. Even those who commit the most heinous crimes, those who cause unimaginable harm, are often the ones who believe they are right. They have reasons for their actions. They have a story to defend themselves. They have a perspective that makes them believe they are not at fault, or that their fault isn't that great, or that their fault stems from unavoidable circumstances. They rarely think they are entirely wrong. It's not just self-esteem. It's a deep-seated survival instinct in the human psyche. Psychology explains that each person lives with a self-image they want to protect. That image might be that they are good, reasonable, thoughtful, would never do bad, or are valuable. When someone points out their mistakes, it not only makes them feel wrong, but also shakes the image they spent their whole lives protecting. Therefore, their only reaction is defensive. They argue, they deny, they fight back. All of this isn't to fight against you, but to protect their own ego. This isn't just about other people. It's about yourself. If someone has ever given you feedback that upsets you, you'll immediately find yourself trying to prove you're not wrong. A slight pang arises when someone touches on your flaws, and you feel offended. You want to react. You want to prove them wrong. This is a psychological self-defense mechanism in all humans. When you recognize this in yourself, you begin to understand why it's so difficult for others to self-reflect. There's an important truth. People don't change when they're criticized. People only change when they're understood. Every criticism is like a punch to the ego, but every act of understanding is like an open hand leading that person to a new place. When you tell someone they're wrong, they don't listen. When you tell them you understand why they're behaving that way, they open up. When they open up, they look inward. And only when they look inward do they truly see what needs to change. This is why Dale Carnegie said that criticism is useless and even repulsive. You may want to help others improve. You may think you're saying the right thing, but to them, what you're saying isn't the truth. It's an attack on their self-esteem. And anyone's natural reaction to being attacked is to fight back. The more you try to persuade them through criticism, the more they close their hearts. The more you want them to listen, the less they listen. This resistance isn't because they have a bad character, but because they're protecting their own image from feeling threatened. A simple example from real life. When you tell someone they have a short temper and need to change, they'll react immediately. They'll say that everyone gets angry in certain situations. They'll explain why they have to be that way. They'll say that if you were in their situation, you'd act the same way. But if you say that you understand they're under a lot of pressure, that you understand that there are tiring days when it's hard for them to stay calm, you're opening a door. When that door opens, they realize in their hearts that they should adjust their emotions. You're not forcing them, criticizing them, or cornering them. But it's this gentleness that leads them to embark on the process of change on their own. The most important thing when understanding that people struggle with self-reflection is learning not to attack their ego. To help others improve, help them see themselves without feeling threatened. Give them the feeling that they are still valued, that you appreciate them, that you are not there to judge, but to support them. When they feel safe, they will dare to confront their own mistakes. A powerful principle is to begin with acknowledgement. Show others that you understand their efforts. Let them know you understand their good intentions. Let them know that you see their strengths. When you build that foundation of safety, they will naturally feel more comfortable looking at their weaknesses without shame. People aren't afraid of the truth. They're only afraid of being disrespected. If you tell the truth in a way that makes others feel devalued, they will reject it. But if you tell the truth in a way that makes them feel respected, they will accept it. The difference lies not in the content, but in the energy and the way it's delivered. Ultimately, when you understand that people find it difficult to self-reflect, you no longer expect criticism to change anyone. You know that only understanding can open the door to the heart. You know that to help someone improve, you must enter their world instead of forcing them into yours. And when you do that, you not only change them, but you also change yourself, because you have learned the highest art of communication, the art of not hurting the other person's ego. 2. People act according to their needs, not yours. In daily communication, in business, in negotiations, and in personal relationships, most of the failures we encounter stem from a fundamental yet incredibly common mistake. We try to persuade others based on what we want, rather than what they want. This is a core lesson of Dale Carnegie's asterisk, How to Win Friends and Influence People asterisk. And when you deeply understand this principle, you will see that all human behavior follows a very consistent logic. People always act according to their needs, their motivations, and their interests. No one truly cares about you until you touch upon what they care about. If you understand this principle, you will completely change the way you communicate. You will no longer try to impose your will, no longer say things that only matter to you, no longer persuade with arguments that reflect your subjective desires. Instead, you shift the focus to the other person, to their inner world, to the system of needs they are operating within. When you do this, connection becomes easy, agreement becomes natural, and your influence increases exponentially. To better understand this principle, we first need to look back at human nature from a psychological and needs-based perspective. Every human action is an attempt to satisfy a need, whether that need is practical or emotional, explicit or unconscious. When you ask someone to do something, their concern isn't your request itself, but whether the action will satisfy their need. If it does, they will act. If not, they will resist, refuse, delay, or simply not care. The example is very simple. When you want your employees to work harder, simply saying, "I want you to try harder," has no impact. But when you understand that the employee wants promotion, recognition, a sense of pride in their achievements, or a more stable work environment, you will speak in a way that suits their needs. At this point, your words won't be met with resistance, because you're talking about what they want, not what you demand. Similarly, when you want customers to buy your product, they don't care about your sales targets, how difficult the project is, or how much effort you put in. They only care about what problem the product solves for them, how it makes them feel, and how it improves their lives. When you adjust your perspective and start speaking the language of customer needs, your persuasive power increases not just a little, but on a whole different level. This is true even in the closest relationships. When you want your partner to change a behavior, you often start by saying you're annoyed, that you want them to be different. But that rarely works because you're talking about your own desires. A more effective approach is to understand the needs behind their behavior. Those behaviors may stem from insecurity, a need for respect, a desire to control their environment, or a fear of losing connection. When you understand the root need, you'll know how to tailor your message to that need. And when the other person feels that your words support their needs, they will naturally cooperate. One of the biggest communication mistakes people make is focusing too much on themselves. When talking, everyone wants to talk about themselves, their story, their desires. But what makes you attractive to others is your ability to make them feel heard, understood, and recognized. When you give them that feeling, their basic social needs are met, and they naturally open up to you. This is the foundation of lasting influence. Understanding the needs of others requires keen observation skills and deep empathy. You must put yourself in their world, see life from their perspective. People differ not only in personality, but also in the system of needs they operate within. Some need security, some need freedom, some need recognition, some need a sense of importance, some prioritize emotions, some prioritize reason. And the way to persuade each type of person is completely different. To know what they need, listen, observe, ask questions. When someone talks about something with strong emotion, it reflects a crucial need. When they react strongly to an event, it's a sign of a need to be touched. When they repeatedly bring up a topic in their life, that's a deep-seated need. When you recognize this need, you'll have the key to entering their mind. One important principle: if you want someone to act, don't talk about your request. Talk about their benefit. Don't say, "Do this for me," but say, "This will help you get what you want." When you link your offer to their needs, cooperation comes naturally. We can see this principle in every aspect of life. Big brands never sell products. They sell emotions. They sell the feeling of satisfaction for their customers. Great speakers don't talk about themselves. They talk about their audience. Great leaders don't give orders. They inspire. Great negotiators don't force. They find common ground between the needs of both sides. Once you understand that people's motivations stem from their own needs, you'll become more flexible in communication. You'll reduce unreasonable expectations. You'll be less frustrated when someone doesn't act the way you want them to. You'll stop asking why they don't understand you and start asking how you can understand them better. Instead of trying to change other people's behavior, you change your approach. Instead of forcing, you guide. Instead of demanding, you suggest using appropriate language. And the results appear much more smoothly. When you talk about what they want, you will get what you want. This is the pinnacle of the art of persuasion. This is also the essence of Dale Carnegie's asterisk, How to Win Friends and Influence People asterisk. And this social skill will open up countless opportunities for you in life. If there's one principle of communication you should remember for life, it's this one: people always act according to their needs. Speak the language of those needs, and you will touch their hearts. 3. People want to feel important more than anything else. Of all the deepest human psychological needs, there is one so powerful that it governs almost every behavior: the need to feel important. From birth, every person carries within them a yearning to be seen, recognized, appreciated, to know that they are valuable to someone or to the world. This is not just an emotional desire, but a fundamental biological and psychological need. When you understand the power of this need, you will understand why people react the way they do, why they are vulnerable, easily offended, easily angered, and why a simple compliment can change someone's attitude completely. If you know how to tap into others' need to feel important, you will possess a powerful ability to influence them. Not manipulative influence, but influence stemming from a deep understanding of human nature. The book How to Win Friends and Influence People emphasizes this as one of the most important principles of communication. Because when someone feels important, they will open up, cooperate, listen, respect, and be willing to connect. Conversely, when someone feels disregarded, undervalued, or insignificant, their entire defense system activates, and all communication efforts become meaningless. Look at everyday life, and you'll see this principle everywhere. Children want to be praised for doing something well, because they want to feel like they're growing, progressing, and being recognized. Adults are the same, only their need for importance is more subtle, more delicate, and sometimes masked by facades like achievements, status, power, or finances. But the root remains the same. People want to feel valued. One of the clearest ways to see this need is the human reaction to criticism. When you criticize someone, you're not just talking about their behavior. You're inadvertently touching on their inner sense of importance. People can accept mistakes, but it's very difficult for them to accept feeling devalued. When criticized at the wrong time or with the wrong attitude, they don't hear what you're saying. They only feel threatened by their self-esteem. That's why arguments erupt over very small issues, because people aren't really reacting to the question of who's right or wrong, but to their feeling of importance. If you observe carefully, you'll see that everyone shares a common weakness. They want to hear their own name. A person's name is a sound they cherish more than any other, because it's linked to their identity and personal value. When you mention someone's name in conversation, when you call them by their correct name with respect, you're saying, "I see you, I acknowledge you, you're not invisible." Conversely, when you forget someone's name or call them by the wrong name, you're inadvertently sending a signal that they're not important enough for you to remember. This, though small, touches on the most sensitive area of the human psyche. In the workplace, the need for importance is very strong. Employees don't just work for money, but because they feel their role is meaningful, their contributions are appreciated, and they are an important part of the organization. When leaders know how to acknowledge, know when to praise, and know how to call out the names of those who have contributed to success, the team becomes strongly cohesive. Because people are not driven by pressure, they are driven by importance. When you make someone feel important, you not only make them happy, but also change how they treat you. A person who feels valued is more likely to open up, forgive, and cooperate. In marketing, this is why personalization is so effective. When a brand addresses customers by name, sends personalized messages, or makes them feel like they are special, engagement rates increase, because the feeling of importance is awakened. In close relationships, this need is even stronger. Your partner wants to be cared for, listened to, and feel valued. When you ignore their feelings, you're not just ignoring a conversation, but their need to feel important. When someone gets upset over something small, they're not really angry at the action. They're angry because they feel unimportant enough for you to notice. And when they're happy because of a small gesture, they're happy because they feel their worth is affirmed. To understand people, you need to observe how they react to recognition. A sincere compliment can change someone's day. A timely thank you can keep an employee energized for weeks. Public appreciation can make someone more dedicated than you think. But most importantly, These things must come from sincerity. Insincerity, flattery, and sycophancy don't touch people's deepest needs because they don't provide a genuine sense of respect, but rather a feeling of being exploited. Genuine respect is more powerful than any persuasive technique. You can say things that are technically perfect, but if the other person doesn't feel that you value them, all your words become meaningless. Conversely, when you truly value someone, no matter how simple your words are, they will listen. Try observing charismatic people. You'll find they have one thing in common. They make others feel important. They listen attentively. They ask the right questions. They respond with care, and they don't make you feel insignificant. The most remarkable thing they do isn't just speaking well, but creating a sense of value in others. To apply this principle, you don't need to learn many techniques. You just need to be honest in your assessment of people. Pay attention to their contributions. Use evidence-based praise. Let them feel that their existence is not taken for granted. Make them feel valued. When you do this, you not only make life easier for those around you, but you also build lasting and deep relationships. Because people may forget what you say, but they will never forget the feeling you create. And the most important feeling is the strongest of all. 4. A well-timed compliment softens the heart more than any command. In life, there are times when you realize that no matter how much you say, how many times you explain, or how strongly you request, others still refuse to change. You might get angry, frustrated, or feel helpless. But there's something most people don't realize. People don't change when forced. They change when they are recognized for what they have. No one wants to be bossed around, but everyone wants to be acknowledged. And that's why timely praise becomes a soft power that no command can compare to. The story of Mrs. Jacob and the workers is the clearest example of this. When she visited the factory and spoke with each worker, she not only asked about their work, but also offered sincere praise for their diligence, meticulousness, and sense of responsibility. Remarkably, these workers had previously been criticized for being slow, unenthusiastic, and unproductive. But instead of reprimanding or forcing them, she chose to awaken the inner value within each person. With just a few words of praise, they began working harder, more happily, and completing their tasks more quickly. This change isn't due to pressure, but because they feel seen. When a person feels valued, they naturally want to demonstrate that value more. That's the power of timely praise. It awakens inner motivation, not external motivation. External motivation only makes people act out of fear, while inner motivation makes them act out of pride. Interestingly, people often react most strongly to things that touch their deepest emotions. A criticism might make them shut themselves off, but a compliment can open doors of connection that you couldn't have knocked on before. When you criticize someone, they immediately put up barriers to protect their ego. But when you praise them for their true strengths, those barriers immediately fall down. This isn't because praise creates weakness, but because it taps into the need for recognition, one of the deepest human needs. Compliments are most effective when they are given at the right time. There are times when a small word of encouragement can save someone from spreading weariness. There are moments when a word of recognition can change someone's entire day. When you compliment someone at the right moment, they need to hear it. You're not just saying something kind, you're giving them a lifeline. Because sometimes people don't need someone to tell them how to live. They just need a little validation that they're doing the right thing. But most importantly, the compliment must be sincere. Sincerity is the soul of all recognition. A fake, flattering, or ingratiating compliment will not bring about change, but will only make others suspicious. A person's heart can immediately tell whether you truly value them or not. And if the compliment doesn't come from genuine observation, the listener will know. For a compliment to be valuable, you must see the real good in them. The most effective compliments are those based on specific actions. That's why Mrs. Jacob is so special. She doesn't just say generic things like, "Well done." She points out details like the meticulousness of the man in line, the patience of the woman in handling the small details, or the responsibility of the other person in ensuring product quality. When compliments are specific, they demonstrate that you truly observe and appreciate them. In everyday communication, compliments are sometimes underestimated because many people think that excessive praise will lead to self-importance or arrogance. But this is not the case. People don't become arrogant when praised for genuine good qualities. Conversely, they become arrogant when praised for something they know isn't true. Appropriate and timely praise doesn't lead to complacency, but rather motivates them to improve. You can see this clearly in romantic relationships. When a person feels appreciated, they become gentler, more attentive, and more willing to share. Conversely, when they feel disregarded, they are more likely to react strongly, be easily hurt, and become withdrawn. A small compliment, such as, "That dish was delicious," "I really appreciate your effort," or "Thank you for trying so hard today," can soften someone's heart more than any apology. Because a compliment shows that you see them, you acknowledge them, and you know their value. In the workplace, timely praise is one of the most important leadership skills. A true leader doesn't manage by power, but by the ability to bring out the value in each team member. When you praise the right person, at the right time, and for the right strengths, you make them feel like an important part of the organization. When they feel important, they naturally contribute more without needing to be pressured. Work is not a burden, but an opportunity to showcase individual value. What many people miss is that compliments not only benefit the person being complimented, but also enhance the qualities of the person giving the compliment. When you make a habit of seeing the good in others, you are training your eyes to view life more positively. When you make a habit of acknowledging the efforts of others, you become more insightful, kinder, and more capable of connecting. Compliments not only create change in others, but also upgrade you. However, for praise to become powerful, you must avoid two common mistakes. First, overly general praise, which makes the compliment seem bland. Second, manipulative praise, which makes others feel exploited. Genuine praise must stem from specific observation, a sincere tone, and an attitude of respect. When you speak, others should feel that you are speaking from the heart, not from calculation. A well-timed compliment is a priceless gift you can give without any cost. But its value is so great that it can change relationships, change people, and even change the environment. A compliment can soothe anger, reduce tension, resolve misunderstandings, and open the door to cooperation. For someone feeling down, it can be a ray of light. For someone striving, it's encouragement. For someone exhausted, it's healing. Not everyone needs many things, but everyone needs to feel valued. When you sincerely give that to others, you not only help them become a better version of themselves, but you also build a lasting bridge between two hearts. And sometimes, even the biggest changes begin with a small compliment you give at the right time. 5. Don't argue to win. Guide them so they realize it themselves. In daily life, people often get caught up in endless arguments. Each person tries to defend their point of view, trying to prove they're right, and the more they talk, the further they push the other person away. The paradox is that no matter how sharp your arguments, no matter how strong your reasoning, most people won't change their stance simply because someone has cornered them. When you force someone to admit they're wrong, you lose not only their time, but also their respect. People don't want to lose an argument, even when the truth is on your side. What they want most is to maintain their dignity. That's why Socrates never argued to win. He didn't try to overwhelm his opponent with knowledge, nor did he use sharp reasoning to prove someone wrong. Instead, he asked questions. He asked gently, sequentially, and guided his interlocutor step by step. Each question made them think. Each question opened up a new perspective. By the time they finally spoke the answer themselves, they realized the truth had emerged from their own mouths. When people speak the truth themselves, they accept it naturally. There is no resistance, no hurt, no defensiveness. This gentleness creates an effect that argument can never achieve. Socrates called this the art of midwifery for thinking. He didn't force anyone to believe anything. He simply helped them see what they already knew. When you consistently get someone to answer correctly, you're making them feel intelligent, knowledgeable, and capable. When they feel respected, they open up. When they open up, they're willing to follow the line of reasoning you lead them through. In the end, when the truth is revealed, they don't feel defeated, but rather feel they arrived at that conclusion themselves. And this is what makes the change lasting. In modern communication, especially in negotiations, business, and family relationships, this principle remains valid. A father yelling to get his child to obey will only create resistance in the child. A boss forcing employees to follow his will only make them comply half-heartedly and lose initiative. A wife proving her husband wrong will cause him to become withdrawn and hide his ego. But when you guide the other person to see the problem for themselves, they will change voluntarily. Try to imagine two different scenarios. In the first scenario, you argue directly. You tell them straight up that they are wrong. You present your points, evidence, and sharp arguments. How will the other party react? They become tense. They become defensive. They try to find flaws in what you say. They won't listen to understand. They listen to refute. Even if you win the argument, you lose the battle of wits. And most importantly, they won't change their minds. In the second scenario, you ask simple questions. You're gentle. You don't dismiss them, but you help them see a different side of the story. You ask what makes them think that way. You ask what would happen if they chose a different path. You ask if there are any factors they haven't considered. Each question is a step leading them down to the truth. They realize what they've overlooked. They understand the inconsistencies. And when they reach their own conclusions, they accept them without hurt. This is the power of the art of questioning. It's the ability to use intellect to resolve disagreements instead of ego to win. People only learn when they discover something for themselves. No one learns when they are forced. To lead others without causing resistance, you need three key elements. First, calmness. When emotions take over, questions become accusations. Second, genuine curiosity. When you are curious, your voice softens, your attitude becomes more open, and the other person senses this. Third, goodwill. When you want to find a solution together, instead of proving who is wrong, others will be more likely to cooperate. On a deeper level, avoiding arguments is also a way to conserve your energy. Arguing consumes a lot of mental energy because you have to defend your ego, find evidence, and focus all your efforts on being right. But asking questions saves you energy. You're not attacking anyone, and you don't need to be defensive. You're simply opening up new avenues of thought for the other person. When you don't confront, others don't see you as an enemy. Consider influential people. They rarely argue. They rarely say things like, "I'm right, you're wrong." They don't need to prove themselves. Instead, they ask questions like, "What do you think about this? Would a different approach be more effective? What do you think is most important in this situation?" These kinds of questions help them build deep connections, making the other person feel respected. And when emotions soften, awareness opens. In close relationships, this is key to healing. Many families break apart simply because two people try to be right. But they forget that understanding each other is more important than right or wrong. When you don't argue to win, you're giving the other person emotional security. When people feel secure, they are more likely to calm down, listen, cooperate, and change. Interestingly, when you let go of the need to win an argument, you become stronger. You are no longer controlled by your ego. You can see the issue more comprehensively. You take control of the flow of the conversation. The other person no longer opposes you, but goes along with you. And when they realize the truth for themselves, both are comfortable, and no one is hurt. When you apply this principle to your daily communication, you'll find that life becomes much easier. Your relationships become less strained. Conversations become more constructive. Disagreements are resolved more quickly. And most importantly, you become an influential person without raising your voice or being overbearing. Socrates demonstrated that truth doesn't need shouting to spread far and wide. It only needs to be seen. And people only see it when their minds are open. And the mind is only open when they feel they are not under attack. Therefore, don't argue to win. Ask questions so they can see for themselves. Guide them so they can realize it themselves. When you do this, you not only become an intelligent communicator, but also someone who helps others grow in the gentlest way. And the amazing thing is that when you stop arguing, you'll realize a beautiful truth. Intelligence always triumphs through subtlety, not confrontation. If you found this post helpful in understanding the art of communication and the power of asking the right questions, please like it to share this knowledge with more people. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next practical and insightful communication lessons. And leave a comment saying, "I will learn how to lead instead of argue," to affirm that you have reached a higher level of communication. 6. Avoid hurting other people's self-esteem. Of all the principles of communication and interpersonal skills, there's one seemingly small thing that completely determines how others react to you: self-esteem. People can suffer losses in money, time, or even opportunities, but it's very difficult for them to tolerate being belittled, humiliated, or spoken to in a way that makes them feel worthless. A wrong sentence, a wrong tone, a wrong choice of words, sometimes that's enough to slam shut the door to the connection you've worked so hard to build for years. Humans live by emotions, and the most strongly protected emotion is self-worth. When you unintentionally hurt someone's self-esteem, you not only upset them, you trigger a natural defense mechanism, causing them to erect barriers. And from there, all subsequent conversations become heavy, suspicious, or completely frozen. Therefore, wise communicators are always aware that the first thing to protect is not their own opinion, but the other person's sense of security. Many people think they need to be straightforward to be more effective, but sometimes unwise straightforwardness is just a form of hurt. Intelligent people don't shy away from the truth, but they say it in a way that preserves the other person's dignity. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," they say, "I think there's a different approach that might be more appropriate." Instead of scolding their child for being terrible, they say, "We believe you can do better than this." The same message, but different wording, produces two completely opposite results. One opens hearts, the other closes them. In close relationships, hurting someone's self-esteem is even more dangerous, as an unintentional remark can create a lasting rift. When you criticize someone in front of others, they don't hear what you're saying. They only feel humiliated and devalued, and their instinctive reaction will be resistance or distance. A hurt person will no longer want to cooperate, share, or even be near you. Conversely, when you show respect even during disagreements, you instill a sense of security in them. And where there is a sense of security, there is always acceptance. To avoid hurting someone's self-esteem, the first thing to do is observe how they react to your words. Everyone has different sensitivities. Some are sensitive to tone of voice, some to eye contact, some to words, and some to context. Subtle communication lies in sensing this and adjusting accordingly. When you learn to lower your voice and increase your level of respect, you are opening a path directly to the other person's heart. Make it a habit to say difficult things gently. Make it a habit to offer feedback with respect, not with a competitive spirit. Make it a habit to start by highlighting strengths before discussing areas for improvement. And most importantly, remember that in any conversation, what people want to feel is not that you are better than them, but that you value them. One of the most powerful ways to avoid hurting someone's self-esteem is to make them feel that they are still good enough, capable enough, and worthy of respect even when they make mistakes. We all make mistakes, We all have shortcomings, so empathy is what makes every connection more human. When you respect others, they will want to listen to you, want to cooperate with you, want to be near you, and that is what creates true communication power. Communication isn't about showing what you know, but about making the other person feel right. And the most important feeling is the feeling of being respected. If you learn this art, every door will open, every person will become more approachable, and every conversation will be smoother. Protecting the self-esteem of others is how you protect the harmony in your own relationships. It's one of the skills that determines maturity, wisdom, and the ability to lead people. A single sentence can hurt someone, but it can also open their heart. And that choice is always in your hands. 7. Evoke the other person's noble reasons. In the art of persuasion, one of the most powerful and subtle principles is to tap into the other person's noble reasons, or in other words, to awaken their belief in dignity and integrity. People naturally like to believe they are good, that their actions are right, and that their choices stem from reason and conscience. When you know how to lead by connecting with this belief, you not only create cooperation, but also open the possibility of changing their perspective without pressure, argument, or threats. People often resist direct criticism, especially when it hurts their self-esteem. When you point out a mistake, the natural reaction is often defensive, resistant, or an attempt at justification. They feel attacked, devalued, and all your words, however reasonable, become ineffective. Conversely, if you skillfully tap into their inner wisdom, you help them see the truth for themselves, conclude that they should change their behavior, and this process unfolds naturally, sustainably, and profoundly, more than any direct persuasion. A classic example is how Socrates guided his students with questions instead of commands. Instead of stating something is wrong, he posed questions to guide them to the correct conclusion. They felt that their decision was rational, stemming from intellect and conscience, not from external pressure. When noble reasons were explored, they didn't feel coerced. They took responsibility for their choices, and this created lasting change. Inspiring noble reasons applies not only to academic or professional settings, but also to everyday life. In the family, when you want your children to do the right thing, instead of giving orders, you point to their positive qualities, reminding them of their responsibility and courage. When children see themselves as capable of being kind, honest, and responsible, they will act from self-belief rather than fear or coercion. In the workplace, employees will respond more positively when you inspire a sense of responsibility, self-esteem, and contribution to the team rather than simply criticizing their work results. When they feel that their actions are meaningful, that they are doing the right thing and are proud of it, the positive energy stemming from willingness and self-confidence will produce results far superior to any command or control. Appealing to noble reasons also helps resolve conflicts. In heated arguments, if you remind the other person of good values and the desire to do what is right, you turn the conflict into an opportunity for them to demonstrate their dignity. They will be less defensive, listen to you more, and be willing to compromise without feeling humiliated. This is how to maintain long-term relationships, respect each other, and achieve goals without pressure. An important principle is that you must truly see the good in others. Appealing to noble reasons is not about manipulation or pretense. The other person will sense sincerity. If you genuinely believe in their good qualities, they will open up to you. Conversely, if you only use tricks, they will see through it, and the consequences can be very serious. You can practice this principle by observing, listening, and recognizing the strengths, values, and noble purposes of others. When communicating, emphasize those qualities. Ask questions that lead them to conclude for themselves that the right action is best, and guide them to act in accordance with their belief in their own higher selves. Inspiring noble causes also has a positive ripple effect. When a person is led in this way, they will continue to spread good values, impacting others with sincerity and willingness. This is the power of persuasion without coercion, the power of guiding spiritual energy instead of authority or command. Remember that every person wants to be good, wants to be recognized for their value and qualities. When you know how to tap into that, you create cooperation, change, and a more profound positive impact than any other method. Skillfully tapping into noble motives is the key to unlocking all doors to sustainable communication. If you found today's lesson helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel to continue learning subtle communication principles, and leave a comment. I will bring out the good in everyone to spread positive energy together. 8. Gentleness is stronger than harshness. In every relationship, every interaction, and every attempt at persuasion, most of us tend to believe that being tough will yield faster results. We think that the more pressure we exert, the more assertive we appear, the more we assert our power, the easier it will be for the other party to comply. But reality has proven the opposite. Toughness may temporarily subdue others, but it never creates real change. Gentleness, on the other hand, is like soft sunshine. It melts people's defenses and makes them willingly open up. The story of the north wind and the sun is a classic example. The north wind, enraged, blew with all its might to force the man to take off his coat. The harder it blew, the tighter the man clung to his coat, the more he shivered and resisted. Then the sun said nothing. It simply radiated warmth. And the man took off his coat. That is the essence of gentleness. It doesn't force. It doesn't instill fear. Yet it has a transformative power greater than any pressure or threat. The same applies to communication. The more rigid you are, the more likely you are to create conflict. People have a need to protect their self-esteem. When you speak in a harsh tone, they stop listening. They are simply trying to protect themselves. But when you are gentle, they feel safe. And only when they feel safe can their minds open up, their reason function, and cooperation emerge. Gentleness doesn't mean weakness. This is a common misconception. Gentleness is about controlling emotions, choosing the right tone, and focusing on connection rather than winning. A gentle person knows what they want, but chooses a gentle approach to achieve it. In contrast, a tough person might be masking inner insecurity with aggressive outward behavior. In the workplace, you can easily see this difference. A boss who yells, threatens, and controls every little detail may make employees comply, but only out of fear. They will lack creativity, dare not think differently, dare not take initiative, and may even gradually lose loyalty. Conversely, a gentle leader who knows how to listen, knows when to praise, and knows how to guide gently will build trust and motivate the team to contribute willingly. They work out of love, respect, and a desire to contribute, not out of fear of punishment or reprimand. In the family, gentleness is even more important. Many parents think that to get their children to obey, they need to be strict and firm. But the more they scold, the more afraid, distant, and rebellious their children become. A child who doesn't rebel through actions will rebel through silence and emotional distance. When parents use a gentle tone, ask questions with understanding, and remind them with love, the child naturally feels guided. They want to do the right thing because they feel that their parents are on their side, not against them. The same applies to love. Many relationships break down not because of a lack of affection, but because of a lack of gentleness. A gentle word can soothe a wound. A sincere apology can mend a crack. A little tenderness at the right time can save a relationship on the verge of collapse. Gentleness makes the other person feel valued, accepted, and allowed to be themselves. When people feel secure in love, they naturally become better, more understanding, and love more. Gentleness is more powerful than harshness in one crucial respect. It gives the other person space to make their own choices. People always believe they have freedom, and when they feel that their decisions are their own, they are far more deeply committed. If you force someone, they will resist. If you gently encourage them, they will make their own choices. And anything chosen voluntarily is more sustainable than anything forced. In the art of persuasion, gentleness is the smartest strategy. You don't always need to present arguments. Sometimes, a gentle word is enough. You don't always need to prove you're right. Sometimes, simply remaining calm allows others to realize it themselves. You don't always need to react. Sometimes, a quiet silence is the most profound answer. Many sages have said that water is the softest, yet the strongest, because it seeps into every crevice, flows through every barrier, and can erode even the hardest rocks. Softness is the essence of wisdom. Hardness is merely a reaction of fear. When you are gentle and kind, you become someone everyone wants to be around. People feel they can trust you, talk to you, and open up to you. You exert influence not through power, but through warmth. Not through threats, but through understanding. Not through coercion, but through gentle guidance. Observe the most charismatic people. They don't need to shout, act intimidating, or prove themselves right. They simply speak in a calm voice, with sincere eyes and a gentle smile. Their subtle presence is enough to make others want to cooperate. That is the power of subtlety. Gentleness is an art of maturity. Rigidity is a reflex of instinct. When you mature emotionally, you understand that true strength doesn't lie in forcing others to do what you want. True strength lies in making others want to do it. And you can only achieve this when you become the sun, not the north wind. 9. Psychological roles. When you give them trust, they become a better version of themselves. In every human interaction, there's a fascinating truth that not everyone realizes. People always act in a way that aligns with the image they believe others expect of them. When you believe someone is capable, they will strive to prove it. When you believe they are honest, they will try to live up to that honest image. And when you give them a role, a title, however small, that embodies trust, they will become a better version of themselves. This mindset stems from a deep-seated human need. Everyone wants to feel valued, capable, and meaningful. When given trust, their self-esteem is activated, making them want to live up to those expectations. That's why, in leadership and communication, there's a principle with immense power, the psychological role of titles. The story of the employee assigned the role of head of price tag control is the clearest example. The manager didn't yell at the mess in the store, nor did he reprimand the employee. He simply gave the employee a small but important title. Head of price tag control sounds simple, but it carries a powerful message. We believe you are capable. We believe you have the management skills. We believe you can do this better than anyone else. Immediately, the employee's attitude changed. Not because of the title, but because of the trust placed in him. He began to observe more closely, work more carefully, be more proactive, and be more proud. Just a small change, but it produced a big result. This is the power of psychological authority. In everyday communication, we can apply this principle anywhere. At work, instead of telling employees to be more careful, you can say that you believe they are the most meticulous and responsible person in the team. At home, instead of scolding your child for being forgetful, you can say that they are organized and that you believe they will do well. In love, instead of complaining about your partner's indifference, you can say that you believe your partner is a very good listener and understanding. When you say that, you're planting a positive image of yourself in their minds. And people always want to live up to the self-image they believe is true. When others believe they are good, they will act like good people. When others believe they are capable, they will develop their capabilities. When others believe they have the potential to play an important role, they will strive their best to live up to that belief. This also explains why some people become better versions of themselves when placed in an environment of trust, and worse versions when faced with suspicion. In a scrutinizing environment, people withdraw, tend to be defensive, negative, and unmotivated. But in an environment full of trust, people open up, are proactive, and are much more confident. A A psychological role doesn't necessarily have to be an actual position within an organization. It can simply be giving someone a role in their life. When you tell your partner that you trust them to be a source of peace and that they are the peacemaker for your family, they immediately feel a responsibility for that peace. When you tell your friends that you're a great problem solver, they begin to be better listeners and offer more insightful advice. You can observe this very clearly in young children. When you tell a child that they are strong, they gradually become stronger. When you say they are intelligent, they will try harder to study. When you say they are kind, they will find ways to behave more kindly. Many children become confident, not because they are naturally confident, but because someone has instilled the right belief in their minds. Conversely, if you label someone negatively, bad things can happen. If you tell someone they're clumsy, they'll become even clumsier. If you call someone hot-tempered, they'll become more prone to anger. If you call someone incompetent, they'll gradually lose motivation to prove themselves. Your words have the power to shape both the behavior and emotions of others. And that's why, in communication, you must always be careful about the images you project onto the person you're speaking to. The psychological aspect of leadership also holds power in team building. A good leader isn't just someone who assigns tasks. They're someone who instills confidence. When you tell someone they can lead a project, you're giving them not only responsibility, but also recognition. And people grow most when they feel trusted. In everyday communication, if you know how to apply this principle, you can easily influence others without raising your voice or forcing them. You just need to plant a positive role in their minds. They will automatically want to live up to that role, not because you force them, but because they want to become a better version of themselves. It's the art of gentle yet profound persuasion. It doesn't hurt someone's self-esteem. It doesn't provoke resistance. On the contrary, it makes them feel understood, appreciated, and trusted. And when people feel valued, they are willing to do anything to protect that value. Not everyone needs praise, but everyone needs to be trusted. Not everyone likes being complimented, but everyone likes being given a role. And sometimes just a simple word, a gentle expression of trust, is enough to change someone's behavior and their life. Psychological expertise is one of the most important keys to understanding people and influencing them in a positive way. When you use it correctly, you not only help others become better people, but also build stronger, more genuine, and deeper relationships. Because between people, the strongest bond is always trust. 10. The greatest reward for understanding is lasting reputation. In a world where everyone wants to express their own opinions, assert their individuality, and be heard, yet few truly listen to others, the ability to empathize with people becomes a new form of power, a quiet, unassuming force that creates a deeper and more lasting impact than any other communication method. Empathy doesn't come from disjointed tactics or forced statements, but from the ability to see what others need, what they fear, what they want to prove, and what they long for validation. Reputation is not something that can be bought, borrowed, or built with a few instantaneous actions. Reputation is built on understanding people and treating them in a way that makes them feel you see their value, understand their motivations, and respect their inner world. When you understand others, they trust you. When they trust you, they follow you. And when they follow you, you don't need to force them, argue with them, or impose your will. They willingly walk alongside you. Understanding people begins with the subtleties of communication, with the unconscious reactions others express, their choice of words, their eye contact, their tone of voice, their body language, and most importantly, how they describe their problems. People are always telling you what they need. They just don't say it directly. They express it through emotions. They reveal it through defensiveness. They show it through agitation. They reveal their goals when they talk about what bothers them. And when you are perceptive enough to see what lies beneath that layer of language, you begin to interact with them in a way that is most receptive to them. Credibility is built when people feel you're on their side. Understanding doesn't mean agreeing, but it creates a feeling that you're not threatening them, belittling them, humiliating them, or making them feel small or stupid. When someone feels safe around you, they open up. And when they open up, they allow you into their world. And from there, you can lead naturally without resorting to authority or coercion. One of the factors that makes empathy the foundation of lasting credibility is the ability to create a sense of recognition. Everyone carries within them a story, a pain, a pride, a part of their values that they want to protect. When you respect that part, you not only understand them, but also help them feel important. Whether in business, in family, or in social relationships, people tend to follow those who make them feel valued and meaningful. Empathy also helps you see what others don't say because they're afraid of being judged. People often hide their fears, their insecurities, their weaknesses. But with subtlety and patience, you can realize that their behavior always has a reason. Anger often stems from insecurity. Silence often comes from fear. Imposing comes from a feeling of lack of control. When you recognize this, you no longer see them through their surface behaviors, but see their deeper motives. This helps you choose how to respond in a way that makes others feel understood instead of judged. Lasting credibility cannot come from coldness, nor from mere intelligence. It comes from emotional intelligence, from the ability to adjust oneself to the needs of others without losing one's personal value. Credible people always know how to make conversations flow smoothly. They make others feel smarter, more important, and more significant. No one likes being around someone who makes them feel insignificant, but everyone wants to be around someone who makes them believe they are a better version of themselves. When you understand, you don't need to argue because you know the other person's true intentions. When you understand, you don't need to impose because you know how to speak in a way that aligns with their wishes. When you understand, you don't need to create pressure because they willingly follow you. This is the root of lasting influence, an influence that doesn't come from a high position, but from deep within people's hearts. Credibility is also built through consistency. Understanding isn't about pleasing everyone, but about treating each person appropriately in each situation. An understanding person knows when to listen, when to speak, when to motivate, and when to gently remind. They don't react based on fleeting emotions, but rather on the long-term goals of the relationship. This makes others feel they can rely on you, trust you, and feel secure communicating with you. In a competitive world, everyone wants to prove themselves, but only those who understand others maintain lasting credibility. Intelligent people can make an impression, but those who understand build trust. Talkative people may stand out for a moment, but those who listen create lasting influence. Dominant people may instill fear, but those who show respect earn loyalty. Empathy also helps you become the person others turn to when they need advice, when they need to share, when they need a trustworthy perspective. You become a safe haven for others, and that creates credibility that nothing else can replace. Credibility is not the result of ostentation, but of kindness, understanding, and empathy for the inner world of people. And most importantly, empathy helps you grow. You no longer react impulsively when someone is angry, no longer get hurt when someone is disrespectful, no longer get furious when someone misunderstands you. You realize that every action has a cause. And when you are patient enough to see that cause, you enter a higher level of communication, where you can navigate your own emotions and the emotions of others gently and effectively. When you understand others, they trust you. When they trust you, they follow you. And when they follow you, you create an impact not just in a moment, but over the long term. That is the greatest reward of understanding. Not loud fame, not immediate victory, but the ability to build lasting credibility in people's hearts. If you want to learn how to gain deeper understanding, communicate more effectively, and exert a stronger influence, please like, subscribe to the channel, and follow the next parts. we will delve deeper into the art of touching people's hearts with sincerity and wisdom. 11. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will win every battle. In communication and the art of persuasion, there is an enduring principle, a saying passed down from our ancestors, seemingly belonging to the battlefield, but actually true in every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship, and every opportunity you want to seize. Know yourself, know your opponent, and you will win every battle. Life is not only a place to showcase your abilities, but also a place where you must understand people, their motivations, their psychology, and truly understand yourself. Only by understanding both sides can you take the right actions, speak the right words, and adopt an effective approach, helping you create lasting influence without imposing or controlling. Knowing others is the art of observing, listening, empathizing, and reading the subtle signals they express. Knowing yourself is the art of recognizing your own emotions, controlling yourself, and understanding your own limits and core values. A person who only knows others, but not themselves, will easily be swept away by the desires of others. Conversely, a person who only knows themselves, but not others, will easily become stubborn and fail in communication. When these two elements harmonize, you become the master of the situation, not through power, but through wisdom. The first step in the art of knowing people is listening. Not listening to wait for your turn to speak, but listening to understand what they truly want, what they fear, and what they expect. Everyone carries hidden needs beneath the surface. The need for recognition, the need for respect, the need to be heard, the need to be heard. When you listen deeply, you will realize what they cannot express in words. Wise people don't rush to react. They observe every expression, every breath, every pause in speech. These small details reveal more of their true nature than lengthy explanations. Knowing people also means being able to recognize the true emotions behind outward behavior. An angry person isn't genuinely angry, but hurt. A cold person isn't emotionless, but defensive. A talkative person isn't confident, but afraid of silence. When you understand this emotional layer, you won't be deceived by outward appearances. You'll react more accurately, gently, and profoundly. That's the power of knowing people. However, knowing others isn't enough, because if you don't know yourself, you'll easily be overwhelmed by the emotions or desires of others. Self-knowledge is the foundation of inner wisdom and the key to staying strong in any situation. When you know yourself, you realize what you're feeling, why you feel that way, and what truly matters to you. Self-knowledge doesn't react instinctively. It's based on awareness. They don't let fleeting emotions ruin long-term relationships. They don't let criticism damage their self-esteem. They don't let excessive praise cloud their judgment. Self-awareness means knowing your limits, your strengths, your core beliefs, and what might cause you to lose your composure. Those who know themselves are always in control of themselves instead of controlling others. This is what makes them trustworthy, respectable, and influential, because people cannot trust someone who lacks self-control. In communication, knowing yourself and knowing others helps you choose the right strategy. When you speak to someone who values emotions, you use gentleness. When you work with someone who prioritizes reason, you use evidence and logic. When you persuade someone who likes to feel important, you give them recognition. When you approach someone who is risk-averse, you offer reassurance. You don't change your nature. You only adjust your approach. This flexibility is a manifestation of intelligence, not pretense. A truly empathetic person is able to recognize the deeper needs that others pursue. Every human behavior stems from a motivation, a desire for self-interest, a desire for security, a desire for love, a desire to avoid harm, a desire for control, or a desire to maintain personal value. Once you understand these true needs, you can adjust your communication to address them. When needs are met, people naturally become more open, cooperative, and trusting. Knowing yourself helps you avoid pointless arguments, unnecessary conflicts, and hasty decisions. When you know what you want, you don't get drawn into drama. When you know what your values are, you don't waver under pressure. When you know what you won't accept, you can set clear boundaries. This is something that truly strong and reputable people possess. In any discussion or negotiation, someone who understands others is someone who sees the most important points about the other party, while someone who understands themselves is someone who doesn't let themselves lose their advantage. Combining both, you become the leader of the conversation without having to impose your will. People naturally follow those who understand them and are strong in themselves. Knowing people also means knowing the right time. Sometimes silence is more effective than words. Sometimes a gentle compliment can bring about a powerful change. Sometimes a simple concession can leave the other person indebted to you emotionally. And sometimes you must maintain a clear stance to prevent others from crossing boundaries. Those who understand psychology know that timing is more important than words. A well-timed statement is the key to unlocking even the most difficult door. Knowing yourself also helps you recognize when to stop. Not every battle needs to be won. Not every debate is worth participating in. And not everyone deserves your energy. When you are no longer driven by the urge to prove yourself, you become freer in communication. And that freedom makes you more persuasive and engaging. In the workplace, knowing others helps you understand colleagues, clients, superiors, and subordinates, while knowing yourself helps you maintain your values, integrity, and identity. The most successful people are not the most skilled, but those who understand people best. And understanding people begins with understanding yourself. When you know yourself and others, you no longer fear being hurt, rejected, or misunderstood, because you understand that each person behaves in the way they know how to behave, not the way you expect. You don't expect others to be perfect, nor do you try to become someone else to be liked. You stand in your own place and understand the other person's place. That is the foundation of all lasting relationships. Knowing yourself and knowing your opponent leads to victory in every battle. This isn't a formula for winning confrontations, but rather a formula for building harmony, influence, and personal stature. When you understand others, you make them feel respected. When you understand yourself, you make them feel you are trustworthy. When both of these things harmonize, your influence becomes natural, gentle, and lasting. If you want to learn more about human psychology, the art of influence, and how to persuade through empathy instead of pressure, please like, subscribe to the channel, and continue to accompany me on my personal growth journey. This is just the beginning of mastering communication and people. 12. Using stillness to control movement in military strategy. In the vast treasury of Eastern military thought, and in the art of management and self-cultivation in modern times, there is a principle that is frequently mentioned and holds timeless value: using stillness to control movement. This is not only a military tactic, but also a philosophy of life, a rule of intellectual operation that helps people achieve clarity in all circumstances. Looking at the world around us, we easily see that life is constantly in motion. Everything changes every moment, and in this era of great change, the principle of using stillness to control movement becomes more important than ever. In military strategy, stillness is not immobility or passivity, but rather a state of inner stability, a steadfastness of intellect. Stillness is the ability to observe clearly, unaffected by hasty or panicked emotions. Stillness is knowing where you are, what you are facing, and what you need to do next. Conversely, movement refers to external changes, environmental pressures, and the constant shifts in the opponent or situation. In military strategy, a person who can maintain a calm mind amidst countless changes is someone who can see through the overall situation and control the course of events. Throughout history, the greatest generals have shared one crucial quality: composure. When storms rage, they remain calm. When the enemy is on the verge of attacking, they are not agitated. They observe, analyze, and filter information. acting only when the time is truly ripe. Using calmness to control movement doesn't mean waiting until everything is quiet before acting, but rather maintaining a clear mind in any situation, thereby choosing the right moment to make decisive and effective decisions. Stillness is not a natural state, but a skill that requires practice. In modern life, we are surrounded by countless stimulating information and pressures. This makes it easy for people to fall into a state of constant agitation, always reacting and chasing after external events, forgetting to control their inner selves. Using stillness to control agitation teaches us that to control the external world, we must first control our inner world. If the inner self is chaotic, thoughts will be confused, judgments will be wrong, and actions will be inaccurate. If the inner self is calm, the mind will be clear and insightful, and actions will be gentle and effective. In business management, leaders need composure to remain unwavering in the face of market pressure, fierce competition, or difficult decisions. A good leader isn't the one who makes decisions the fastest, but the one who makes the right decisions. Right decisions only come when they remain calm in all situations, clearly understand the nature of the problem, and anticipate the consequences of each choice. When the external environment is constantly changing, leaders must remain even more composed to keep the compass needle from deviating. In communication and negotiation, using calmness to counter aggression is a crucial art. When the other party uses provocative language or pressure, they hope for a hasty reaction and a mistake. But if we remain calm, observe their attitude, tone of voice, and true intentions, we can find their weaknesses and turn the situation to our advantage. Sometimes, 5 seconds of silence is more powerful than 5 minutes of talking. Sometimes, simply smiling and sitting still is enough to reveal the other party's intentions. Calmness helps us avoid falling into traps. Calmness makes the other party impatient. Calmness helps us gain the upper hand without using force. In self-cultivation, stillness is a prerequisite for developing wisdom and mastering emotions. Those who lack composure are easily angered, impulsive, and prone to saying and doing things they shouldn't. A moment of anger can ruin years of hard work. A second of impulsiveness can cost us dearly. Using stillness to control impulses reminds us to pause before reacting, breathe before acting, and observe before drawing conclusions. It is this small pause that makes the vast difference between a wise person and a rash one. In military strategy, stillness also means patience, knowing how to conceal strength, hide intentions, and wait for the opportune moment. Everyone wants to attack, but the strongest is the one who knows when not to attack. Everyone wants to gain an advantage, but the most insightful is the one who knows when to yield one step to advance 3. Stillness is not blind subservience, but a long-term strategy. A tiger lies still not because it is weak, but because it is waiting for the most precise moment to attack. A person who is quiet is not because they are incompetent, but because they have a longer-term vision than others. At work, there are times when things get chaotic, schedules are hectic, plans fall apart, and pressure mounts. If we panic, we'll make things worse and lose control. But if we calm down, observe the overall picture, prioritize the most important things, and handle each task one at a time, we will gradually regain the initiative. When the mind is chaotic, even with the best efforts, mistakes are easily made. When the mind is calm, even a small action can have a big impact. In business, when the market is highly volatile, most companies are caught in a whirlwind of fear or greed. Everyone rushes to buy or sell, and everyone reacts based on emotion. But those businesses that remain calm, observe long-term trends, analyze data accurately, and are not led astray by the market will survive sustainably. Maintaining composure means understanding that volatility is only the surface, while the trend is the core. Those who remain calm will see opportunities amidst the chaos. In our personal lives, we sometimes encounter family conflicts, financial pressures, or unsatisfactory romantic relationships. If we let our emotions guide us, we are likely to make wrong decisions. Some people have destroyed a good relationship with just a hasty word. Others have lost an important opportunity with a rash decision. But if we remain calm, we will understand that everything will eventually pass. Calmness helps us avoid losing ourselves in the storm. Using stillness to control movement also teaches us that there are battles we don't need to participate in, words we don't need to respond to, and provocateurs we don't need to confront. Stillness helps us choose the right battle. When we are still, we don't let our ego control us, but let our wisdom guide us. Sometimes victory means not fighting. Sometimes victory means taking a step back to maintain peace. A person who knows how to control movement with stillness will not be provoked by others, will not be swayed by public opinion, and will not be swept away by the chaos of life. They are like a calm lake that remains clear even in strong winds. They observe, reflect, and see through. And it is this stillness that gives them their power. Serenity also means steadfastness. When we pursue our great life goals, countless challenges will arise that can shake our resolve. Those who lack inner peace are more likely to give up halfway and be easily swayed by fleeting temptations. But those who maintain inner peace know what is truly important to them and will not be easily distracted. In an era where speed is highly valued, people think that doing things quickly is good, but in reality, doing things correctly is what matters. There are times when rushing leads to mistakes, and rushing only leads to more errors. Being calm isn't about doing things slowly, but about working with control, purpose, and mindfulness. Those who know how to be calm will know when to speed up and when to stop. Stillness is a form of soft power. Today, soft power is just as important as hard power. It helps people become more insightful, confident, and trustworthy. A calm person, even when speaking, commands attention. A calm person, even when standing still, inspires respect. When we cultivate inner peace, we see the world around us change accordingly. Things that once angered us now seem insignificant. Things that once worried us are no longer frightening. Those who once pressured us can no longer control our emotions. Inner peace makes us the master of ourselves. Mastering stillness to control movement is not a slogan, but a long journey of self-cultivation. It requires daily self-observation, identifying emotions every hour and adjusting thoughts every minute. But when we truly achieve this, we will realize that no amount of worldly turmoil can shake us. We stand amidst the storm, yet our minds remain at peace. That is the power of stillness, a power taught in ancient military strategy and continuously proven by modern life. When we know how to use stillness to control movement, we not only understand military strategy, but also understand ourselves, understand life, and thereby master our own destiny. Human nature remains unchanged. No matter how times change or how much technology advances, the deepest core of each person remains the same. Everyone wants to be understood, respected, and recognized as a valuable individual. When you grasp this, you hold the most important key to creating influence and building lasting relationships. When you understand people, you can lead them. Understanding here doesn't mean reading minds or complex psychological analysis, but rather recognizing their true emotional needs. If someone wants to be acknowledged, give them genuine recognition. If someone wants to feel safe, give them a sense of security. If someone wants to be listened to, give them space to express their thoughts. When you meet their needs, they will naturally follow you, because you are the one who touches on what matters most to them. When you respect people, you win their hearts. Respect isn't just about words. It's also about how you treat them in every small moment. Don't belittle them, don't interrupt, don't be overbearing, and don't use a hurtful tone. Respect is the foundation of all trust, and when others feel genuine respect from you, they will open up and be willing to cooperate. And when you make them feel important, they are willing to do what you want. Because people naturally crave appreciation and recognition. A well-timed compliment, a gentle acknowledgement, and the trust you place in the right place are enough to make others become better versions of themselves. When they feel important, they naturally want to contribute, strive, and reciprocate the goodwill you show them. If this video is valuable to you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who also want to improve their communication skills. Every action you take helps spread the message to more people and motivates me to continue creating more insightful and useful content for you. Leave a comment. I want to understand people more deeply. That simple understanding is the first step in opening the door to the rich inner world of others, and also a journey to self-improvement. The more you understand people, the more control you have over your own life. Let's progress together every day.